Okay, I'd like to do some samples using the quadratic formula. Here is the quadratic formula, minus b plus or minus the square root of the quantity b squared minus 4ac whole thing over 2a. So, when you have a quadratic equation like this one here, the first thing you need to do is identify the a, b, and c. A is 1, b is negative 5, and c is negative 14. Once you do that part, put these values into the formula. So I have a minus, and then I have b, which is minus 5, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. Whoops, 2 times 1. I'm putting the numbers in. All right, once you do that part, it's best to simplify and rewrite as much as you can. So I'm going to rewrite it over this side here. That's going to give me a 5 plus or minus, all right, negative 5 squared is 25. 4 times 14, using the calculator, 56. So I have square root of 25 plus 56. You know why it's a plus, right? Minus, and this minus makes this whole multiplying a minus, so 2 minuses make a plus. All over 2 times 1, which is 2. At this point, I'll add these two parts together, 50, 81. So 5 plus or minus square root 81, whole quantity over 2. Square root of 81 is 9. So I have 5 plus or minus 9 all over 2. That's two answers. 5 plus 9 is 14 over 2, which is 7. There's one answer. 5 minus 9 is negative 4 over 2, which is negative 2. And that's the other answer. So the answers are 7 and negative 2 for this problem. All right, I've got another problem here to solve. Again, it's a quadratic equation. Let's find out what the a, b, and c are. You know the general form of the quadratic is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And that's where we get the a, b, and c in these equations. So, comparing to the original, a equals 5, b equals 4, c equals negative 2. All right, I'm going to plug it into the quadratic formula. Minus the b plus or minus square root b squared 4 squared minus 4 times a times c. Notice my first substitution, I always put everything in parentheses. This is a great first step because you can go back and check and know that you put the proper numbers in for substitution. So I really like this as a first step. I hope you do too. Minus 4 plus or minus, now we have to do some figuring. 4 squared is 16, 4 times 5 is 20, times 2 is negative 40, minus a negative 40, plus 40, all over 2a, which is 2 times 1, which is 2. Now, at this part, I have a little more simplifying to do. Minus 4 plus or minus the square root of 56 all over 2. Now, do you think I can leave that answer? I hope you said no, because I think 4 goes into 56. So let's see if we can rewrite that. Minus 4 plus or minus the square root of 4 times what? 4 goes into 5 once. 4 times 14 over 2. I like to see if numbers under a radical can divide by perfect square numbers, because now I can simplify one extra step. That 4 comes out as a 2. So, and what do I do with that 2? I put it right in front of the radical here. So minus 4 plus or minus 2 root 14 all over 2. Now, do you see some nice reducing that you can do? This 2, can it reduce with the 4 or the 2? Only one of them or both? Think about that. It divides into all of them or both. So the final answer is minus 2 plus or minus root 14. That's 2 answers. Now, in the last problem, it was plus or minus a number that was not in a radical, so we could do the step of adding with that number out in front of the plus minus. In this case, we can't, so we stop there. That is 2 separate answers. You can write it as 2 separate if you want. I'm fine with this step here. So, all right, I got one more to go for you here. 4y squared minus 5y plus 3. Again, identify a, b, and c first. A equals 4, b equals negative 5, c equals 3. So, first step, minus b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. Now that I have that, I'm going to simplify it. Let's move over here. So that gives me a positive 5 plus or minus the square root. What do we get inside here? 25 minus 4 times 4 is 16 times 3, 48. All over 2a. That was 2 times 4. Sorry about that. 2 times 4, which is 8. I was thinking too fast. Careful of that. Great way to make a mistake. All right, 5 plus or minus 25 take away 48. Ooh, that's a negative 23. All over 8. Oh boy, am I done? No, you can't leave a negative under the radical. Do you remember what you're supposed to do? Turn it into imaginary numbers. 5 plus or minus I root 23 all over 8. Now check. Do any common factors go into 5, the I, and the 8? No. So that is the answer. Again, you could write it as 2 separate answers. 5 plus I root 23 over 8 and 5 minus I root 23 all over 8. I like the circled one. It saves a little bit of time as long as you know there's both answers. There are times when you have to do both answers. If you are able to add this number to the number in front, then you should do the second step and get the 2 different answers. I guess you're all set. One last thing. When you're solving using the quadratic formula, sometimes you get an equation that has some of the parts missing. For example, if I had something like 3x squared plus 2x equals 0, the a is 3, the b is 2, there's no c. So you're allowed to say c equals 0. All right, let's take a variation of that. Suppose I had 3x squared plus 2 equals 0. In this case, there's no b term, so that's 0, but the c is equal to 2. So, so pay attention to detail in terms of order of terms. Make sure the squared term is always first, and you can have zeros for the b or the c or even the a. Good luck.